There is a story about Ted Seldin, in addition to being a past president, in addition to being involved in so many aspects, not only of building in bricks and mortar, but in the life of the congregation that we are celebrating tonight.
That's right.
Tonight, we continue, of course, with the memories of Castry. And Ed has the memories. Ed not only has the memories, but he's still involved in the day-to-day activities and in our dream for a new congregation. So it is with great honor and love that I invite Ted Seldin to this bima to talk about the memories of Castry.
Again, Rob. Wendy Goldberg called me a few weeks ago and said, would you mind filling in on one of these Friday evenings, one of the summer sessions, and, about my memories and so forth and involvement in Temple Israel. And I said, okay. She said, well, something that's particularly a memorial to. There are many, many hundreds, and I only have, for Mel Epstein, fast ready, so I only have 8 minutes, so I'll be no more than that. But anyway, my topic tonight is rebuilding the third temple, Israel, at Omaha. Now, the first one, somebody can help me, Cynthia's here. The first one was 1980-something, and then the next building, or at least I think the next building, was on Park Avenue. And then in 1952, this structure was built. And there was some good fortune, as there has been in our congregation. Milt Livingston, who was a president at the time in 52, and others, bought a little piece of land from Cass Street to Dodge and over to 72nd Street, which is our present site today. So fast forward, but actually going back a little, I was born and raised in Council Bluffs, in the shul over in Council Bluffs, Orthodox. And when my wife and I moved to Omaha in 1959, we did a little survey. We certainly enjoyed Bethel and Beth Israel, but we came here and there was a fellow by the name of Sidney Brooks who gave some really inspirational sermons that convinced us that Reformed Judaism was what was meaningful to us. And our family has had a wonderful experience here. We're very gratified for all that it has done for us. So anyway, fast forward then, we were members in March, or I guess it was March or so of 1975. I got a call from our good friend, fellow Council Blessing, Dave Calvin, who was the president, and said, Ted, would you mind coming on the board? And he knew I was in the construction business, paid me to become chairman of the building grounds committee. The story of the time in all my life. Then came May 6th, 1975. Now, the worst tornado in Omaha happened to be on Easter, and I don't know what date exactly that was, of 1913. That was the day my father arrived in Omaha. On May 6, 1975, I was at home. I was recovering from, I don't know, some sort of a lung something. And, but there happens to be somebody here with me today, like I'd like to introduce. My daughter, Stephanie Howard, and her husband, Roger, and their 2 sons, and also our daughter Beth, who's had a good time, is here. And she's going to help me on first period experience, because if you go outside, and I asked Dennis report, and he recovered or brought out of the archives some big scrapbooks that are out on the table. And there's a list of people that were here in Temple Israel on May 6th. Steph, come on up and tell your part of the story.
Okay. All right, so I was here. I normally wasn't here during the week because I had already been confirmed. And I don't know if we still have this tradition here, Rabbi, since I haven't lived here. But the confirmants from the year before would sort of line the aisle between the pews and give away.
The chain.
Right.
Yeah.
And we would sort of give away the current compliments. So I came here with my good friend Judy Goodman because we were going to have a little bit of a rehearsal with the compliments from before us. And we were kind of all chatting and relaxed in the rabbi's offices. And all day long we have tornado watches, you know, when the sky gets yellow and all that. It had been that way all week, you know, we weren't. Well, the sirens go off. And Rabbi Brooks and Rabbi Weinstein were there. And they said, we have it on good authority that nothing bad will happen. And so we all kind of laughed, but they said, all right, just for safety's sake, we should get you all downstairs. So we went down and we were either in the youth lounge or a classroom right next to it. We tried to figure out what room had the fewest windows. And those rooms are sort of subterranean and they have the windows at the very top that you push open. So it wasn't like in the kindergarten or something with all the windows. Well, the rabbis went up and they watched what was the back door, and they were kind of watching. And we were just hanging out in the room talking, the kids were, and then all of a sudden, Rabbi Weinstein and Rabbi Brooks come running in, and they say, you know, Rabbi Brooks in this big voice, all boys on the side of the windows, push the windows open. We're like, okay. And I was on the far wall. And they said, now everyone get under the desks in the room. Of course, and we can hear the wind blowing and everything. It starts to get really bad. And all this debris and everything was coming in through those windows. And the windows were breaking, so glass was coming. And I was on the other side of the room, and I could feel all of this. And one of the rabbis said, everyone with glasses, now take them off. You know. Trust me, mine were already off. So, and if it's ever, you hear about tornadoes sounding like a train, they do. And I always thought, no, that can't be. They do. And Judy and I were under the same desk, holding on to one another. If she were here, she would say, I was screaming, what are we going to do? And I'm here, so I get to say, she was screaming, what are we going to do? So we're there, and it gets worse and worse. And I say, if it can get any worse than this, we're done. I'm not going to see age 18. I'm not going to make it. At that point, it started to get better. And there was less wind, and things calmed down. Well, a few of the kids had some cuts from the glass. No big deal. We sort of staggered out of the room, and we went upstairs, and down the hallway, which was fine. This hallway was fine. But the front doors were, you couldn't get out, because the air pressure had sort of sucked in whatever it does, and later on, the fire department had to take a hatchet and break the doors open. We looked into the sanctuary. All the stained glass, right? All the stained glass was broken. There was one huge piece stuck at a right angle in one of the walls, like this. And when we went out the back, all of the cars had, for the most part, exploded. All the glass had broken, the trunk and the hood, everything was broken. Some of the cars had flown over the synagogue and were over here. There were some that had flown over the church, and they were over here. And everything was stripped there, all the trees, everything. And I was thinking about it, and I thought, I used to always think, well, the rabbis didn't know what they were talking about. But when
Which is always true.
Okay, then I'll throw it. But when I thought about it, they were right. Nothing bad happened. Our spiritual home, this building, able to be pretty messed up. But no one was even severely hurt. I think someone might have broken arm. No one died, which was amazing when you saw what the building looked like afterwards. We were all safe. And I was thinking about this week's Torah portion. It talks about magic and miracles, I think it is this week. Or you can correct me if you want. But it was a miracle in this congregation, wasn't it?
Is all the glass out of your area?
No, but Judy Goodman probably still has some in her legs.
Okay, fast forward. Okay, what happened? This congregation has always done mobile areas. A. John Farber, who I think was a colonel at the time in the Army Reserve, immediately came over in security because looting was going on over. Harvey Aronson, who was head of construction at Kiewit, came out with bulldozers and so forth. Now, I was not here, so I can't testify. But you're talking about what was in the sanctuary. Now, realize there was no roof. Everything was in distorted. And again, I invite you to look at those scrapbooks out there. And this is not a story, this is fact. But Marvin Brookstein, I don't know who else, walked in. I don't know, maybe Mel, you were there. They walked into the sanctuary. No roof, complete devastation, and walked up to the ark. What were they concerned about, Rabbi? The Torahs. They opened up the ark, not a drop of water. Rabbi, can you give us an explanation?
Miracles.
Miracles. All right, so fast forward from there on, the congregation came together. Stan Perlmutter appointed a committee. I had the pleasure of working with Sid Austin as co-chairman. Don Polsky and Gary Goldstein became architects, came in, conducted the design, came together, got the insurance adjustment done, and subsequently the Milder Center was added on and so forth. Now, the goal was, my personal goal was, is in February, I wanted to have the building back in order. I had a personal reason, because my daughter Becky was here. But we didn't make it. The offices, just for your background, the rabbi moved his offices over at 69th and Pacific. Classes were held at the JCC. Now, one of the lessons that was really important that year, high holidays, what are we going to do? Cindy Brooks, Rabbi Brooks, called Father Hub a Boy Scout. It was the first time that we'd ever had one service all together, and everybody thought, oh, it was great. Now, as I understand it, Rabbi, and I know it is, in the fourth temple, Israel, we're going to be able to have one congregation all together on a high holiday.
Okay.
So anyway, to conclude, let me say this, that to pull the congregation together. Our bids came in, we got a very good insurance adjustment. The bids came in low, and that started the endowment fund, and everybody really got together. You know, you talk about the greatest thing you can do for any church or nonprofit is have a crisis. Everybody came together, raised the fund, started the endowment, and then what a great feeling was the day that we all got together and they carried the Torahs.
Thank you.
Shalom.
Now we have it recorded too, so there'll be a great story. Thank you, Ted. Thank you. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. I love the support you brought here to bring the stories to life. We turn now to page 282. 282 as we rise.